A very warm welcome and pleasant morning to respected dignitaries, distinguished resource person, honorable principal, faculty of various colleges, research scholars, and my dear students. I, Dr. Shikharanjan, Associate Professor, on behalf of Gitarattan fraternity, welcome you all for today's national webinar on the topic Creating a Holistic Learning Culture. The objective of the national webinar is to provide the platform to all our most experienced and illustrious minds to discuss together about one of the important components of NEP 2020, which emphasizes the different components of holistic learning. Here, I would like to quote, to teach is to touch the life forever. Yes, with this notion, a measured change can be provided to the nation for better students, professionals, and better human beings. So, for today's webinar, we have with us our source of inspiration, Principal Professor Sonia Jindal Ma'am. She is PhD in education, has a glorious experience of 25 years. She is the role model for every pupil teacher. I welcome you, ma'am. I feel grateful to welcome our honorable speaker for Sir address, Dr. S.K. Bhatia, sir, former Associate Professor, CIE, Department of Education, University of Delhi. Sir has extended his continuous support in organizing this webinar. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
It's an ultimate pleasure to welcome an eminent educationist, honorable speaker for the technical session 1, Dr. Anjali Sokin Ma'am, Assistant Professor, University School of Education, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Dwarka, Delhi. Warm welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Shikha ji, and Namaskar, Bhatia sir.
Namaskar. Thank
Namaskar,
you.
Namaskar sir, and Namaskar Yukti ma'am.
Welcome you, ma'am. I express
Thank
a
you.
warm welcome to Professor Yukti Sarma, ma'am, our honorable, respected resource person for technical session 2, professor in CRE, Department of Education, University of Delhi. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr.
My,
Shikha.
yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Bhatia sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Sonia. Good morning, Dr. Anjali.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Sonia ji. Good morning, everyone present here.
I also extend
Good
my
morning. Good morning.
very good morning, everyone. I also extend my special welcome to dignitaries, presenters, participants, faculty members of various colleges, scholars, and all my dear students. Once again, welcome you all. So, for today's webinar, we have the two technical sessions. Each section will be followed by open discussion, and all the participants are requested to keep their mic mute and camera off for smooth functioning, and participants can write their queries in the chat box. All the presenters kindly note that you will be given a maximum 5 minutes for proper presentation. So once again, welcome you all. So now heading towards the webinar. Now I invite Dr. Achal Rana ma'am, Assistant Professor, Gitarattan.Institute of Advanced Studies and Training, to proceed with prelude. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all present here. Today we are here in this seminar, creating a holistic learning culture. I will start my session with the Swami Vivekananda quote, "We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, and intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet." The holistic learning culture, we can create holistic learning culture only when we combine our body, spirit, and mind. Only then we can create a very much holistic learning culture. And the most of the things will be discussed by Dr. S.K. Bhatia sir. We today for the introductory part, we have Dr. Bhatia sir. Dr. Bhatia sir, for the enclosure address, He is a renowned figure in the field of education. Dr. Bhatia sir is former associate professor of CIE, Delhi University. Sir has a long experience of teaching school organization and management at the B.Ed and M.Ed levels. Sir has also guided a number of research scholars in educational administration and teaching strategies at the MPhil and PhD level. Many of his research papers have been published in prestigious journal of education. Sir has authored around 15 books at the 12th level, DLEd and B.Ed level. Sir has a long association with GIAST and he is truly the strongest pillar of GIAST family. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Hanchal. Professor Sonia Jindal, Dr. Anjali Shukeen, Professor Yukti Sharma, Dr. Shikha, colleagues, and dear participants. The topic for today's seminar, creating a holistic learning culture, though this is very, very old, and the academicians, the educationists, they have been focusing on this since long. But then now, since the outcome of the new education policy, it has got a momentum. It has picked up the momentum. And if we go through the pages of new education policy, we will find that holistic learning has been focused on many pages. And the policy has gone to the extent that we can have limited course contents, but then it should be ensured that holistic learning takes place. The teaching contents may be less, but whatever we teach, that should be taught perfectly. And all the students, they should be able to learn effectively whatever the course contents are. So is that holistic learning? If they learn the content, the course contents, then can we assume that the holistic learning has taken place? I, belonging to the older generation, see, I have just some basic ideas about holistic learning, and we have with us two renowned experts, Dr. Anjali Shokeen and Professor Yukti Sharma. So then they will be giving the respected sub-themes that have been requested to them to speak on. And on the basis of that, whatever they say, the participants, they may catch up the threads, and on the basis of their own preparation, so they can present what they have prepared. Now, when do we say that the holistic learning has taken place? Now the teachers teaching in the class, so whatever they teach, if a student has understood everything, so can we say that the holistic learning has taken place? Actually, we should be mindful that we do not have to communicate only the course contents. In simple words, I will say that of course the course contents have to be learned, but at the same time we have to take care. We have to pay attention to the different domains. If cognitive domain has been taken care of, the emotional development has been taken care of, the psychomotor skills have been developed, so then can we say that the holistic learning has taken place? I think holistic learning, of course, this is the major component. The course contents learned through different domains, like knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So then we have not only to communicate when the teachers are teaching in the classroom. So normally whatever is given in the books, they communicate. And after they have completed the topic, after they have completed the lesson, now generally, you see, I have observed as a teacher educator that there are only 5 to 10 students who learn perfectly. And if in the examination they recall and they repeat whatever they have learned, see, they are given good marks also. But then as a teacher, I think we should ensure that not only the knowledge has been communicated, not only the domain of knowledge has been achieved, but at the same time, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So the teachers, while teaching, has to see to this thing also, that the students, they have learned up to the level of all these domains. Uh, then suppose the cognitive development has taken place. Now then, what about the emotional development? That is the affective domain. So have they understood in the right perspective? And have their skills been appropriately developed? The psychomotor domain, has it been taken care of? So content knowledge pertaining to all the domains plus co-curricular activities based on the students' attitude and aptitude, and of course some life skills also. Uh, we should not teach in this manner that now we are teaching this particular life skill. Now we are teaching this particular life skill. I think it should be integrated when the curriculum transaction is taking place. When we are teaching the different topics and subtopics, and whenever there is scope, so we should integrate the life skills also. Life skills like communication skills. Now we have to enable our students to communicate well. If they can communicate well, that is when they are asked some questions, or when they ask questions, if something is not clear, when the students, when they ask question. So then it should be ensured that perfect communication is taking place. Communication is, they have used the language, they have spoken in such a way that whatever they want to convey, so that has been understood by the listeners, not only the teacher, but the other students also. So then we have to enrich their communication skills. Then self-control also. This is also one of the important life skills. And then critical thinking, familiarity with the perspective. When I say familiarity with whatever they have the aptitude, so they can be placed and they can be given options of different subjects. तो ये सब स्कूल ने ये सब कुछ देखना है कि उनकी होलिस्टिक लर्निंग की है कि उन्होंने डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स में जो भी वट एवर दी कोर सब्जेक्ट्स आर एंड दी अदर सब्जेक्ट्स आर, कि वो उनको अच्छी तरह से करवा दिए गए हैं कि नहीं. होलिस्टिक लर्निंग के लिए करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज, देयर एटीट्यूड एंड aptitude based co-curricular activities, and then the life skills also. जो life skill है वो भी उनमें instill की गई हैं. तो when we have done all this, so can we say that holistic learning has taken place? Is school only responsible for the holistic learning of the children? तो home has to contribute a lot, क्योंकि बच्चे की जो फाउंडेशन है होलिस्टिक लर्निंग के लिए, दो हम we say home, or how the child is brought up in the at home, so that also matters कि बच्चों को किस तरीके से उनकी उनको डाइट देनी है, किस तरह है, कैसे घर में चीज़ों का रखरखाव होगा। तो ऑल दीज थिंग्स सी दे आल्सो काउंट फॉर द होलिस्टिक लर्निंग। बच्चों की लैंग्वेज किस तरह की होगी, आता है कि बच्चे घर में हैं और पेरेंट्स अपने उनके सामने ही ड्रिंक कर रहे हैं, तो ऐसे बच्चों की अटेंशन जो है वो डाइवर्ट हो जाती है। तो होलिस्टिक लर्निंग जो है वो क्या होगी? तो होम हैज टू कंट्रीब्यूट a lot. So on the basis of my experience, I can say this thing that if the people at home, they look after the interest of the child, if they also add to the holistic learning, तो बच्चा चल तो घर में बोल चाल है, पहनावा है, का रख रखाव कैसा है। तो अच्छा, पेरेंट्स जो हैं कहीं किसी हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस में या प्लेस ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस, प्लानिटोरियम में जैसे लेके जाते हैं, म्यूजियम में लेके जाते हैं, तो व्हेन दे विजिट ऑल दीज थिंग्स, जू में ले जाते हैं, व्हेन दे विजिट ऑल दीज थिंग्स, तो वहां जाके हाउ टू व्यू, हाउ टू टेक द ऑप्टिमम एडवांटेज ऑफ सच विजिट्स। तो मैं ये देखता हूँ कि इवन जो बच्चों की इंटेलिजेंस है, तो घर में अगर इन सब चीज़ों का ध्यान रखा जाए, एज द नोशन गोस कि उनकी इंटेलिजेंस जो है 14, 15, 13 साल तक बढ़ती है। आजकल तो ये भी हो गया है कि ग्रोज फॉर एवर, लेकिन उसकी स्पीड जो है बहुत कम हो जाती है, एज यू ऑल नो दिस थिंग। तो if at home we are well aware of all these things, that we have to look after the children in the right perspective, so that also adds to the children's holistic learning, where हम उनकी फाउंडेशन तैयार करके स्कूल में भेजते हैं, तो there they learn in the right perspective. तो इसके अलावा, होम के अलावा, I think more details will be shared by our experts and the presenters. एंड नेबरहुड और फ्रेंडशिप सर्कल जो है, दैट आल्सो एड्स टुवर्ड्स द होलिस्टिक लर्निंग। होलिस्टिक लर्निंग को वो ऐड भी करती है, वो उसको डिस्ट्रक्ट भी करती है। अगर एनवायरनमेंट जो है जिसमें बच्चा रहता है, अगर वो एनवायरनमेंट, इफ द एनवायरनमेंट इज नॉट पॉजिटिव, नॉट कंस्ट्रक्टिव, तो होलिस्टिक लर्निंग को सेटबैक भी मिलता है। अगर if the children, they come across some people, some friends जो क्राइम्स में या बैड हैबिट्स में इंडल्ज करते हैं, तो उसका इल इफेक्ट जो है वो बच्चों की होलिस्टिक लर्निंग में पड़ता है। तो एज आई शेयर्ड अर्लियर कि बच्चा जब स्कूल में 11th 12th के बाद बाहर की एनवायरनमेंट में जाता है, कॉलेज या किसी और हायर इंस्टीट्यूट में या किसी जॉब में जाता है, तो वहाँ सक्सेसफुल होगा कि नहीं, दैट इज आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द होलिस्टिक लर्निंग। हमें वहाँ उसको तैयार करके भेजना है। तो देयर आर मैनी इंडिविजुअल्स इन द सोसाइटी, देयर आर some organizations also in the society. I have noted down a few points कि उनकी होलिस्टिक लर्निंग के लिए कैसे वो कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं। The contributions of some philanthropists. I'm reminded of one of my friends who is no more, Dr. S.P. Pathak. He died recently, Corona की वजह से। तो after he retired, many years after his retirement, when he used to go for a walk in the park, तो वहाँ even in the street, तो he used to come across some children who are just vagabonds, छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, doing nothing. तो वो मुझे याद है, उन्होंने पार्क में, अशोक विहार में, ऐसे बच्चों को इकट्ठा किया। शुरू में 3, 4, 5 बच्चे ही थे, आउट ऑफ स्कूल चिल्ड्रन या स्कूल जाते भी थे तो भाग जाते थे। अब उनकी होलिस्टिक लर्निंग के लिए उन्होंने ये देखा कि उनको परसुएड किया, उनके पेरेंट्स को मिले और एक छोटा सा ग्रुप बना लिया और उनको उनकी लैंग्वेज स्किल्स को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए, नंबर स्किल्स को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए, तो he used to do this thing with the help of some other colleagues. तो धीरे धीरे वो ग्रुप जो 4-5 का था वो 50-60-100 तक पहुंच गया। उनके जो स्कूल के बच्चे थे उनको घर में गाइडेंस नहीं मिलती थी और जो गैप्स उनके रह जाते थे वो तो उनकी कमी को वो पूरा करते थे। तो होलिस्टिक लर्निंग जो है, दिस इज नॉट ओनली कन्फाइंड टू द स्कूल और टू द नेबरहुड, ये आगे कम्युनिटी और सोसाइटी में भी बहुत से इंडिविजुअल्स हैं, फिलेंथ्रोपिस्ट जैसे मैंने कहा, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, अब जैसे ऑर्फेनेज है, ओल्ड पर्सन्स होम्स जो हैं वहाँ पे भी ऑर्गेनाइज करना, उनको लुक आफ्टर करना। तो ये होलिस्टिक जो लर्निंग है या होलिस्टिक एजुकेशन जो है, तो इसके लिए सिर्फ स्कूल ही नहीं बल्कि होम, देन नेबरहुड, फ्रेंड सर्कल, सोसाइटी, कम्युनिटी, वो सारा जो है। तो मैं तो सिर्फ इट इज जस्ट ए बिगिनिंग। जैसे मैंने कहा हमारे 2 एक्सपर्ट्स जो हैं they expertise in the holistic learning, and in one of the seminars I heard Professor Yukti Sharma. She also specializes so far as the concept of holistic learning is concerned. So therefore, she was requested to come and hold the session. तो मैं यहीं पे ख़त्म करूँगा। So let us wait and watch what the experts they have to say and what the different presenters they have to say. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wisdom of words. And definitely your thoughts have truly inspired us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And now I invite Shikha Sharma ma'am for abridgment session.
Thank you, Dr.
Over to
Anchal.
you,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I hope am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, good morning, everyone again. I would like to welcome you all again in the National Webinar 2022 Creating Holistic Learning. Dr. Anjali Shaukin is working as an assistant professor in University School of Education and as an associate director in the Directorate of Students' Welfare at Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. She has a rich experience of more than 15 years of teaching and mentoring at graduate, postgraduate, and doctorate level. She has supervised more than 40 MA dissertation. Her vast areas of interest include educational guidance and counseling, educational technology, research methodology, and educational management and administration. She has also developed e-content under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching, sponsored by Ministry of Human Resource and Development for School of Education, Central University of Punjab, Batinda, and also content for the Department of Education, Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, the Maharaja Sayajo University of Baroda, to name a few. She is a member of a curriculum revision committee of accountancy at National Institute of Open Schooling and also a member of the Open Educational Resource Committee constituted by National Council of for Teacher Education NCTE, New Delhi. She has been invited in various capacities in professional development programs at institutional and university levels. She has published more than 30 research papers and articles in national and international journals. She has also authored a book titled Teaching of Commerce for the Students, Teachers, and In-Service Commerce Teachers. She has been awarded the International Education Award for her contribution to student development. She has also presented a number of papers in national and international conferences in India and abroad, like University of Malaya, University of Salmanca, King Mogut University of Technology, University of Barcelona, and many more. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anjali Shokin, ma'am, to chair the technical session. Before that, we would like to hear a few words from ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shikhar Sharma, for the brief introduction. And first of all, I want to congratulate the Gitarattan.Institute for taking this initiative that you have organized a webinar on the, you can say, very important theme, that is creating a holistic learning culture. It is very important these days because I think the NEP is also focusing on these aspects. And before I begin, I want to thank Dr. Bhatia sir, because sir, you have made my work easy. You have really set the tone for the discussions and the deliberations. And it is always nice, you can say, I always learn a lot from your discussions, from your sharings. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you, Yukti ma'am, also, because I have heard so many times in the webinar. So she is also speaking on the holistic education only. So thank you, ma'am. And now to formally begin with the session, I want to share one line, or you can say the first, you can say the principle which is given in the National Education Policy 2020. So I'm reading the line which is given in the policy. The policy is saying that recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academics and non-academic spheres. So, dear colleagues, if we read these lines, I think a lot of things are given in these lines only when we are talking about the holistic learning in these days. As Bhatia sir already told, that this is very essential to develop all the domains of a child. We cannot focus only on the cognitive domain. We have to look after all the psychomotor domains, all the affective domains also, because then only we can talk about the holistic development of a child. And if we see these lines which are given in the policy, and I think this is the main principle of the policy document, it is saying that recognizing, identifying, and fostering. So here we are saying that we have to recognize, we have to identify, we have to foster all the capabilities of the students. So when we are saying we, I mean to say that we as a teachers also, we as a school also, we as a parents also, we as a community also, we all have to be take care of the holistic development of the students, and we have to make sensitization towards the holistic learning. And it is also written that sensitizing teachers and parents. So we have to sensitize the teachers, we have to sensitize the parents also for promoting the holistic development for in the students in both academic and non-academic spheres. So here it is very clear then that when we are saying academic and non-academic, we mean to say that we are focusing on all the skills, all the aspects of the development, either that is of physical development, it is about the mental development, it's about the emotional development, it's about the social development. We are focusing on all the domains. And in the policy, one more line just I want to share with you, that is, in policy it is also written that the aim of education will not only be cognitive development. Like it is very clearly mentioned that our aim of education should not focus on only the cognitive domain, but also building character and creating holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. So it is clearly mentioned that for the 21st century skills, we have to develop the character, we have to we have to create the holistic environment, and we have to focus on the all-round development. And in the policy document, the paragraph 4.4, if you have seen, if you have studied the policy document, it is clearly mentioned in the paragraph 4.4. It talks about the holistic development of the learners. So here, now this is what I want to tell about, that what the policy is saying about the holistic development and what is mentioned in the policy. And if you read the document, you will find that in every sphere it is focusing on the holistic development of the students. Now, before I begin, I want to tell you that, or you all are very much familiar with, that this holistic education, what we are talking today, or we are discussing today, it is not a new term. It is not a new term because it is our aim since you can say since independence, or you can say before independence also, many educational leaders, they have spoke about the holistic learning. Like in the morning, I just forget the name, before 30 minutes, I think, in the uh, you can say in the beginning of the session, one of my colleague was saying that we want education in which the character is formed, and this is stated by the Swami Vivekananda. If I'm not wrong, I think my colleague was saying this in the beginning. So here I want to say that when Swami Vivekananda has also believed that we want education in which the character is formed, so he also talked about that the education is a tool for self-perfection. So here the two things, that one is that we want the education in which the character is formed, and we are also saying that education is a tool for self-perfection, and this is also said by Swami Vivekananda. So then we all know that Gandhiji has also focused on the principle of Nai Talim, and Nai Talim, we all know that it is focused on that what we do with our hands. So whatever we do with our hands, we are, you can say, we are very close to the community. We are very close to the people with whom we are living. So the concept of Nai Talim was also given by Gandhiji's. Then Dr. Radhakrishnan has also stressed on maintaining the cultural unity of this country by, you can say, how we can maintain the cultural unity. We can convert the information into wisdom. So this was also a viewpoint of Dr. Radhakrishnan, who stressed on this thing. And moreover, our conventional, you can say, the Gurukul system, that also focused on the growth of teachers as well as the growth of students. And they also talked about that the growth can take side by side only. You can say in the same way, in a parallel way, if there is a growth of teacher, there must be a growth of student, and vice versa. So the Gurukul system has also focused on this thing. So we can say that all these things, when we are talking about the holistic development, so this is not a new concept. And even the same thought is also, you can say, highlighted, or it is stressed in the new education policy, the national education policy, which is very new. And it also, this policy is also focusing that there is a need to revamp our education system. If we want to revamp our education system, we have to implement holistic learning at all levels, whether it is at the primary stage, it is at the secondary stage, or it is at the, you can say, the higher secondary, or at the, you can say, the higher education. And in the policy, it is saying that there is no secondary and the senior secondary level. It's only talking about the secondary level. So, but we are in habit of saying secondary and senior secondary, so it will take time to change uh, the concept, but it's clearly written now in the policy. And we all know that the next thing which I want to tell you, that we all know that as Bhatia sir has also told, that if we have to impart the knowledge, it should be in the integrated way. When we are saying the integrated way, because why we are saying in an integrative way the knowledge should be imparted, because we know that there are problems in the past. In our society there were problems, and those problems are existing in today's scenario also. So can we find out, can we thought that what could be the reason behind this? Like if we are talking about the problems before the 50 years, and today also we are talking about the same problem, so somehow we can say that there is a problem. There is a problem with the education system, because it's the only education system which can help us in progressing in an effective manner. We are progressing, but if we want, like if we are talking about we are developing, but if we talk about the holistic development, that it should be rooted, then we have to come out from the compartments, like compartments of we are only focusing on the cognitive domain. So that is also, you can say, it's a one compartment ki hum usse bahar, we don't want to come out from that. So we need to come out from that, and we have to, like, as the policy is also saying that there are you can say varied subjects, and varied subjects like it's talking about the literature, the social sciences, the sciences, you can say the vocational subjects, you are we can say the subjects which are related with the technology, it can be your science, it can be your music. So this document, this NEP is also saying the same things. It is recommending the same things, that a student can choose any of the subject which he or she likes to take. So हमें जो है उन compartments से बाहर निकलना है. We have to come out from those compartments, and we have to give the freedom to the child, so that the student he or she can choose the subjects which he likes to study. Okay. So then this policy is also saying that there should be a multidisciplinary approach. So this multidisciplinary approach is what? It is the same thing that the student can choose any subject, and moreover this policy is also saying that there will be the multidisciplinary autonomous degree granting colleges also, where you can say various options are given to the students, and the students, they can choose any of the subjects. Moreover, the policy is also saying about the multiple entry, multiple exit. The policy is also talking about the academic bank of credits. It is also talking about that there is, you can say, it's a light, there should be a light curriculum, there should be a light rules and regulations, but they should be very tight, because this one word is light but tight. So what exactly it means? Like we are having the policies. हम ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले पॉलिसीज ने ये बात नहीं किया. होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट की बात जो है, अर्लियर पॉलिसीज जो हमारी 68 में पॉलिसी आई, 86 में आई, या प्रोग्राम ऑफ एक्शन 92 की हम बात करें, in all those documents the holistic development of a child is mentioned. But again in 2020 also the policy is talking about the same thing, because we want to do but we are not able to do. Like there is a problem in the implementation. So implementation, when we talk about the implementation, that who is responsible? Ultimately, we as a parents, we as a teacher, somehow we are failing to impart, you can say, the holistic learning among the students. So there is a, you can say, there are some loopholes, and we have to see all those loopholes. We have to identify also, we have to cater the needs of the present students, or you can say the present kids. So there are many recommendations also which are given in the policy. like I'm discussing some of the recommendations, and then we come to the experiential learning and the experiential learning in the form of you can say the holistic education. So now for setting the things like what we as a teachers and what we as a parents and what we as a school have to do in the holistic development of a child. So now we are focus is on that like how we can focus. But before focusing on these aspects, I want to tell you that what are the brief suggestions, what are the brief recommendations which are made in the National Education Policy 2020. So now we have discussed about the different things which are given in the policy documents about the holistic learning. Now we have to like analyze that, we have to understand that if what is this holistic education, how this holistic education can be imparted, what is the role of the teachers, what is the role of school, what is the role of parents, what are the different aspects which needs to be considered in the curriculum development, and not in the curriculum development only, but it is that how the curriculum should be transacted. So these are the certain questions which comes in our mind, and we teacher is not to impart the knowledge in the class, rather it is about that the teacher should view all the students as a whole, and everyone should care of themselves, and they should if the teacher will care, the students will also care. If a student is caring his friend, then his friend also care about that. There is a requirement of the interdisciplinary coursework, and I think many experts in different fields, they are working towards that. So what are the different points which I have covered and which I have told that for the holistic learning, the learning should be experiential, the learning should be personalized, where the child can learn by his own, by knowing all the strengths and weaknesses, by knowing the challenges, by knowing the interest of themselves, so they can you can say they can learn by their own self-guided approach. Then the teacher's role as a facilitator, the teacher's role as a you can say guide, it is very much required. And then we have to focus on the community also, that we can say that the holistic learning considers, or you can say the community has an important role in you can say in imparting the holistic learning among the students. And moreover, this holistic learning, it will help in you can say maintaining the relationships also, and for strengthening the relationships also with the peers, with the teachers. And moreover, this is focusing on the interdisciplinary approach, and we can say that the formative assessment should take place rather than you can say the summative. So in that way, if we will focus, we all will focus on these aspects, so it will ultimately help in boosting the confidence of the students. It will incorporate all the reflections which the teachers and the students they want to do. These can improve the academic achievements and the achievements in the other fields which are very much required for the holistic learning. Moreover, that will enhance, or you can say that will help in the mental and emotional well-being of the students. It will also you can say reduce the inequities or the inequalities, and ultimately that will help in you can say in increasing the problem solving approach and the critical thinking which we want to develop in our students, so that will also develop. Okay, so as a teacher, we have to encourage the self confidence of the students. We have to what we else can do, we can reward the students. We can give the meaningful and you can say we can give the constructive feedback which can help the students in their which can help the students in solving their problems. We can also lead by an example, like whatever we say na ki whatever we practice we preach. So whatever, like what we do, our students will imitate us. So we can give them an example so that they can also follow us. We can recognize our child's, our you can say the child's interest. We can create an interactive environment in the classroom. We can use a variety of approaches. We can ask them questions, and the questions not in the way that they have to answer yes or no. If the questions are open ended, then ultimately they will come out with the other things also. And in that way, somehow we can maintain the strong relationships also with the students, and you can say with the teacher and student relationship also, and you can say the student relationships also, and that will help in the connection, connecting the building. You can say connection building is also developed, and there will be a you can say there will be a focus on the transformative approach. When I'm saying the transformative approach means the student will able to learn from different, you can say, ways, you can say by different experimental ways, because ultimately that will effect in, you can say, they have the long lasting effects, and they will not forget the things if they learn by that way. So this means as a teacher we have to play a great role in the holistic development of a child. We have to create a culture where this holistic learning can takes place. And also I want to focus on just I think I can speak now. I have the time, Dr. Shikha. If I take 5 to 10 minutes more.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Okay, thank you. So next, an important thing which I also want to state about, that the parents' role, because the parents' role is very much important in the holistic development of a child, because we all know that in the present scenario we are having the nuclear families, we are having the dual income families also, where the mother and father both are working. So in that way, lot of responsibilities are also there on the parents, and I think which results in you can say somehow we are lagging in concentrating our child's problems. Like हमें यही नहीं पता होता है कि हमारे जो हमारा बच्चा है वो किस फेज से जो है वो पास हो रहा है, उसको किस तरीके की प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही हैं. और एज अ पेरेंट आई थिंक we have to see all these things, but we are juggling with the professional lives, and you can say somehow in that way we are lagging in you can say in knowing what are the demands of our students, what not students but the kids, because our kids also need us. They also need us, and there are professional commitments also. Like we are also committed to some profession, we have to do the things. So everything, when I see that all these things are there, so sometimes it becomes very difficult to manage, and mostly you can say in the most of the cases it happens. So in that way I want to say that there is you can say parent support is very much required for staying a child positive, for staying a child, you can say, healthy. So these things are to be taken care of, because we as a parents, we need to be more responsive, we need to be more understanding. We have to help our like our children to we have to help our children in, you can say, in growing, in developing the different skills and competencies. And if we can say that if we are saying the competencies, so we are talking about all the competencies, we are talking about all the skills which covers in the 3 domains which the Bloom's has given, that is the cognitive, psychomotor, and the affective domain. So we have to take care of the emotions also. We have to take care of the emotional needs of the students. In any way, I think we should not neglect our children, because यदि इमोशनली our kids, यदि हमारे बच्चे इमोशनली स्ट्रांग होंगे, then only we can focus on the emotional development of the child, and then only some sort of like जो behavioral problems आज के time में बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. So as a parent we can identify in the initial level also. यदि हम उनके जो है उनकी तरफ ध्यान देंगे तो हम बहुत ही starting stage में, बहुत ही initial stage में we can easily identify, and if we identify, so of course ultimately we can help also. And sometimes we know that our children are frustrated, they are in stress. So as a parent at that time we have to encourage them so that they can solve their problems. So it is like अभी जो है मैं I was listening in the keynote address also. Bhatia sir was also saying कि भाई सिर्फ it is not the responsibility of the teachers and the schools and the community. In fact, as a parent, सबसे पहले जो है prime responsibility as a parent हमारी है, that we have to think, because बच्चा जो है ज़्यादातर time घर पे spend करता है, तो in the home also उसको जो है प्रॉपर जो है उसको एनकरेजमेंट मिलना चाहिए, उसको मोटिवेशन मिलना चाहिए, प्रॉपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है पेरेंट्स और चिल्ड्रन के बीच में होनी चाहिए. सो इन दैट वे वी कैन से कि यदि पेरेंट्स और टीचर दोनों ही कोलैबोरेटिव वे में इफ दे वर्क टुगेदर, तो अल्टीमेटली देयर विल बी यू कैन से देयर विल बी अ होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट इन द चाइल्ड, एंड we will succeed in creating a holistic learning environment, because we as a parent also we understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of our child, and the teacher also helps us. So in that way, in collaborative manner, we can help the children in more effective way. And somehow we also know that कि जो childhood है वो हमारे जो childhood age जो होता है, that is very sensitive stage. So at that stage proper nurturing and care is required from the parents, and because that is the age कि जहाँ पर बच्चा बहुत कुछ सीखता है, or that will affect in the adulthood also. So in that way we have to provide the right environment. We have to always give positive feedback, and we have to always encourage our students. We have to give you can say very nice environment at home. One more thing I want to tell you, when I'm saying the environment, we all know that sometimes हमने देखा भी है, सुना भी है कि sometimes parents they fight with each other in front of their children. So we have to see all that things, because that ultimately affecting the brain of a child. So इस तरीके की जो arguments हैं, that should be avoided especially when the kids are there, so that उनके ऊपर इस चीज का कोई negative effect ना हो. So in that way, what I mean to say, what I want to discuss, what I want to say, that the parents' role is also, you can say, equally important in creating the holistic learning environment. And in the last, to conclude myself, I want to say that we should also have to focus on the curriculum also, because I was seeing that there is a one component there is a one theme also which is talking about the present day curriculum and the students holistic development. That is also one sub theme of the today's topic. So that should also be catered, and the curriculum should also have the different aspects of the psychological, the social, the emotional growth of the students. The curriculum should be like, it should be very engaging, so that the students, they are engaged in different activities, It should have some exposure of the fun sort of, or you can say exposure in the way where the field trips can be made at, and these are required in the, you can say, at the primary level only. Then only these will help in the better development of the child, and ultimately that will help in the holistic development. And to conclude myself, I want to say that when we say holistic knowledge, we can say that the holistic knowledge is only the way which leads complete realization of self and the national development. So holistic knowledge ही एक ऐसा वे है, एक ऐसा तरीका है जिससे हम अपने आप को completely रियलाइज कर सकते हैं और उसी से हमारा जो है नेशन भी डेवलप करेगा. So in that way we all have to work towards the holistic development of a child. We all have to create the holistic learning culture. So by these words, I end myself, and thank you for the patience listening. And now I want to take the questions which you are having. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anjali, ma'am, for sharing your valuable words with us and highlighting upon the key words like integrated way of knowledge impartation, character development, emphasizing not only emphasizing upon cognitive domain only, and more importantly, also giving equivalent means to psychomotor domain and also to the affective domain. So, ma'am, can we begin with the presentations first?
Yes, yes.
If you allow us.
Yes. Why
Okay.
not?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So, to begin with the technical session 1, I would like to invite Ms. Deepika Malhotra, from Assistant Professor from SCRT. Yes, Ms. Deepika Malhotra, am I audible to you?
Yeah, ma'am, you're audible. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, please keep the time in mind that's are there for the presentation. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I share my screen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Could you make me the presenter, ma'am?
Ma'am, not needed in Google Meet. You can share from your own side. No problem.
Okay.
Share, ma'am.
Ma'am, is my presentation is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A very warm morning to all the honorable speakers, guests of honor, and the dignitaries who have present here for attending this webinar. I also welcome on my behalf all the scholars from the various universities and the institutes to this webinar. I, Deepika Malhotra, am going to present my paper on the parental role in child's holistic learning. So I start by saying a quote. Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them, by James Baldwin. It always comes to my mind when I read this quote. Here the role of the parent has creep in. The role of a parent in the early years of child life just apply to the most demanding tasks like feeding, changing diapers, dressing, escorting the child to the school, and playing with the child, many more such roles the parent which used to perform. Parenting includes more than just providing physical and emotional requirements of the child. It also entails making a positive impact on the child's cognitive, social, and emotional growth. Parental participation has significant impact on a child's intellectual, social, and psychological development. It has been from the review, it has been found out that parental conduct, personality traits, and the child's parent connections have a significant impact on a child's academic achievements, cognitive development, self-esteem, and many more abilities, which derives his or her social behavior as well. As the most significant influence on a child's life, The parents have the power to influence them favorably or badly. Despite the never-ending barrage of the issues that arise from raising the child, parents continue to work hard to provide the greatest possible education and care for the children's holistic learning. Strong parental guidance has encouraged that a youngster may maintain a healthy outlook for a life. If a parent is sympathetic, sensitive, they help the children to do better in school and develop important abilities earlier in life. Children are affected by their parents' methods of praising, punishing them for the bad behavior, and even imparting the information, how they impart the information of any sort to the child. Parental involvement in their child's growth has significant influence on their social, intellectual, and psychological stability as well. Now let's see the understanding the role of the holistic learning. So when we say the word holistic learning, which has been quite well elaborated in NAP 2020, developing a child's intellectual, mental, physical, and emotional and social abilities to help them to cope up with the demands and the obstacles of daily life is called the holistic development. And through that development, only the holistic learning takes place. The educational program must assist each student in discovering his or her own special position in the world. Everybody is unique. Every child is a unique child. That's why one that is in the harmony with their own individuality. Now, when we talk about the holistic development, these are the key elements of the holistic development. When we talk about the language, language has is a part of upbringing, which starts from the home itself, and the parents have the major role in inculcating the language in the children in the early years. Cognitive, when we think, this is all thinking, problem solving, conceptual understanding, overall intelligence. And then the social emotional, which is very, very important and keywords these days, how the child feels socially, emotionally comfortable, that builds the confidence, social relationships, expressions of emotions, and lot many more things. And then the psychomotor or the physical domain, when we say, that's the development of fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and the various balancing and coordination among the body and body organs, and building the sensory capabilities. A bit more elaborative on that, these are the key elements. When we say cognitive, a child's cerebral capacity reaches 90% of its capability by the time he or she is just a 5-year-old, which means that youngsters who begin in the preschools are already close to the maximum potential. So looking at that, it is a major role of the parents to stimulate all the cognitive areas. We all know that children's minds are more receptive with new ideas. They are more alert to any subtle cues and faster pick up the new habits and the hobbies. And when we talk about the language, our children's minds are more open to new ideas, more perceptive to the tiny cues and quicker to pick up the new habits and the interest. With the correct guidance, and these bright brains can do much more, because language is the critical component of the development. It reflects the ability to think, to express, to comprehend the concepts, which is very much essential for the growth of the child. And when we talk about the social and emotional development, all social emotional development is very critical. The most valuable and vulnerable stage of child's life is during her earlier years of growth. When the child feels free, safe, and comfortable, their talents and the sense of self becomes more expressive. With what type of people they are surrounded, with the people they can trust, they can form bonds and the solid basis for their future and emotional connections. A healthy social emotional growth includes coping with the issues such as anger control, sensitivity, sadness, egos, and many more such. So social emotional bondage is very, very important since the early years of child. Then we come to the physical. As we all know the old phrase, a sound mind lives in a sound body. The research findings had indicated that children and adolescents who spend excessive time watching television, playing electronic games, using computers or using the screens time, they suffer obesity, higher cholesterol, poor sleep habits, the erratic patterns of sleep, increased consumption of unhealthy foods, depression, higher prevalence of withdrawal and anxiety symptoms. And these days, the parents are having the challenge of internet addiction as well. And there is a reduced timing with the parents and even with the siblings too. in the initial year of the child development, the brain connections are formed, which are very, very important. The more connections will be formed, the more the child will be able to learn and perceive holistically. So physical to a child to be a physically healthy, that's a very important, and it's related to the development and the gross and motor fine abilities. Then parenting and family dynamics, which is very, very important when we talk about the parents' role in child's holistic learning. With the support of the parent, children should be taught to organize their daily routines on the daily basis, how they have to manage their routine days, how they have to manage their weekends, how they have to manage their holidays, how they have to manage their special days, or how they have to manage their school days even. Trusting children with duties is critical for the future developments. Unless we trust the child, we make them the part. As a parent, we have to make them the part of their family, and we have to involve all children in everyday course of the home, so that they turn out to be the responsible husband of the wives, the parents, the employees, and ultimately the citizen of the country at a large, for the benefit of the families and the community and the country as well. So in this, the schools have the major responsibility to build a connect through the PTAs to educate the parents for the holistic learning of the child. Now there is parental worries about the adolescence. The parental worries because adolescence is the age when the parental support is very much required to build the child on the right track, and so that the child should be guided in the right way. These days, obesity is a greater challenge for the parent, because there is a lot of bad habits, or the food bad habits. There is junk food, beverages, packed meals. That many things are there. There's a lack of physical activities. The children are becoming more of sedentary. The age where they have to be active in all respects, and they are becoming less agile, is a concern of the parent. And it's a concern of the parents to protect the child from the communicable and non-communicable diseases, as well as we have seen in the period of Corona, and still we are watching it. The parents are very concerned about the well-being of the child first, then the education comes. They have to provide the good nutrition as well. Then we talk about the active involvement of the parents. A child's worldview is shaped by the active interaction with their parents only, no matter how tiny or the large that interaction may be. So it's very much important keyword is the interaction with the child. Children cannot acquire the respect for others only by the textbook or reading mere the some captions on the walls or by the instructions. They just, parents and the other family members are the one who can set an example for their children in this area, because the child learns very much through the modeling or the imitation as well, and the parent is the first one whom the child always imitate. Parental participation may have profound impact on your child's mental and emotional well-being. It's very well said. The parental involvement leads to the more mental open up and the cognitive expression of the child. And once the child is emotionally balanced, the child's holistic development also takes place. Environment at home. Too much family strife might modify children's brain and make the interpret emotions in a different way. It's very, very important, as Honorable Speaker has also mentioned, the atmosphere at home is also very, very important part. Parents should foster an environment where children feel free to express themselves and foster a sense of belongingness in the household. It's very, very important to provide a safe and secure atmosphere at the home, which is the very much important domain of the parent. Children's journey to adulthood is greatly influenced by the love and the care they get by the parent at the home. Emotional intelligence is a key word these days. Parents have a tough time recognizing the behavioral changes in their children. Sometimes we are not able to make out as a parent what the child is going through. So it's very important for the parent to be with the child, especially when they are irritated, disturbed, and at the time the parents need to be with them. It is important for the parents to keep tabs on the children's schoolwork even, and all the activities through which the child is going through. Parents should communicate regularly with the teacher just to support the child emotionally. Parental role in academic, social, and psychological development of the child. As I've earlier said also, adolescent difficulties have their origin in the childhood. This statement has many things to elaborate, because we have talked about the many issues which arise from the childhood to the adolescence, and the parent have the major role and responsibility if we talk about the academic, social, and psychological development of the child. Parents are the finest therapists to ensuring that their children's mental health and well-being are holistically developed. The family is the most important factor when we talk about the mental health of the child. Then academic development. Higher academic achievement is linked to the parental participation. It has been noticed that the children perform very well who are very secure and comfortable at their homes, and the parents who interact with the children. Parents instill in their children are very indicative of the parent participation. Psychological development. The child's emotional and psychological requirements are taken care well by the parents only. Parents that show their children unconditional love, acceptance, admiration, advice, and encouragement supports the child's growth and development in the proper way. That is the social and emotional support to the child. Parental participation has been linked to the child's ability to express his or her emotions in every way. Then we talk about the social development. Parents play a critical role in molding the child's social development of child's moral, social, and interpersonal competences, which is an integral part of overall growth of the child. Children learn how to behave in various social situations by imitating their parents. Children who grow up in a hostile and unpleasant family settings, they are more likely to develop social anxiety or engage in socially unacceptable conduct as adults. They have to adopt exclusively reward-based techniques for disciplining the child. Parent participation has a positive impact on a children's social development and reduces the poor behavior. Children better recognize their abilities and talents and develop an understanding of their social duties and values and expectations if they are being treated well at home by their parent. So in last, I conclude parents are responsible for not only their children's academic cognitive development, but also for developing the child into physically, mentally, socially, emotionally stable adults in later life. Create best learning environment for the children at home, which is safe and secure emotionally as well as socially. Parents engaged in the learning processes of children via engaging them in formal and informal ways in children's learning environment at home and at school as well. So parents having the environment, parents with the help of teachers and the school create an environment for the holistic learning of the child, which is very much important and the key word in the NEP 2020. I'll conclude by saying a quote by the Harvard Gardner, who is the profounder of the theory of multiple intelligence. Anything that is worth teaching can be presented in many different ways. These multiple ways can make use of our multiple intelligences. So it is well related to the holistic learning of the child. So thank you everyone for the patient listening and giving me the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Deepika. Thank you very much for your presentation. Before I would invite the next presenter, I would like all the participants to write their queries into the chat box. And in the end of this technical session one, we'll have an open house discussion. Yes, for the second presentation, we have Dr. Meenakshi Sitta, Principal, Shri Ram Institute of Teacher Education, Delhi, and with her, Ms. Diksha Batra, student from same institute, that is Shri Ram Institute of Teacher Education, Delhi. So I would like to call upon them to present the paper.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I'll just share my
Thank you very much. Yeah, sure, most welcome. Ma'am, please keep the time in mind, okay?
Oh, ma'am, sure. I'll make sure. Ma'am, I'll start. So, a very good morning to the house at large. Today, I am Diksha Batra and I will be presenting my paper on the theme Creating the Holistic Learning Culture. The sub-theme that I particularly chose was School Fails If It Doesn't Prepare the Child for Community Living. The title of my paper is School, a Miniature Society Establishing Homeostasis Across a Community. Let us understand that education is a very comprehensive term that allows an individual to harness his innate potential and develop his overall personality. So the time immemorial, people have been confused in the terms literate and educated. The policy that we have now adopted has tried to bring this paradigm shift towards and not towards literacy. So education in terms of perception of knowledge, experiences, along with development of attitudes, habits, and skills. It allows human beings to adapt to the changing circumstances and adjust to the needs of community. It is a milestone of a nation's progress as it shapes the personality of the youth of a nation. Why do we need the emergent concept of holistic education? So, with changing times, with urbanization, with industrialization, the conceptualization and factualization of education has also undergone a metamorphosis. Now, we no longer need an education that just provides students degrees. Rather, we are looking for an education that encompasses the overall growth and development of the child in the education system. The foremost step in this approach of holistic education is to promote experiential learning. We are no longer looking for students as passive listeners. Rather, we're looking for active constructivists who do experiences and construct their own learning by self-guidance. Learners have to explore their environment, construct their knowledge, and learn at their own pace. Education, in terms of holistic education, provides these essential skills and tools in a proper environment to students that is beyond the four walls of a classroom. School as a pacemaker. So in this article, we have compared school to the pacemaker. So in our human body, we have the human heart, which has the sinoatrial node that is called as the pacemaker of the heart. The sinoatrial nodes generate those electrical impulses that sets the tone for the heartbeat, and the entire human body works because of it. In a similar manner, properly ideology could be matched in terms of school. So school sets the pace for the future of the nation. It has a major responsibility of establishing homeostasis, a sense of balance across the community, as it cultivates the ground level values, ethics, and norms that children build upon in the future. Now, traditionally, the schools were viewed as an institution where education was imparted and individuals became literate. However, in the 21st century, the school no longer holds the role of just imparting education. Rather, it has diversified its roles and it is incorporating the concept of holistic education that in itself has the word whole in it. So every aspect of the child is now taken care of. And if the school fails to nurture children with adequate resources and a conducive learning environment, their roots will not be strong enough to withstand strong gusts of the society. So the society will not stop, bringing the blows and the winds, but the school has to nurture the roots of the child so that they can stand tall and lay such a strong foundation upon which children's future ideologies and in a broader sense they can shape the nation in terms of progressive changes. So in the context of India, we have a major problem that young individuals, even though they are graduate, they are educated, they find it very problematic to get a suitable job. So there is a state of educated unemployment which arises due to a mismatch between the ambitions of graduates and the current employment opportunities that are available to them. So one of the main aims of education in India, especially and worldwide, is to make a child self-sufficient. This thing can go back to the concept of Mahatma Gandhi, where he talks about basic education, vocational education, that children, along with theoretical information, need to be trained in a skill so that they can get their bread and butter. So vocational education, as we saw, was mentioned in the National Education Policy 2020. So the major emphasis has to be on competency over qualification. We do not have to focus on output of education, that is the quantity of knowledge to students, but outcome, that is the quality of knowledge developed in the students. We have to make students competent and not just qualified. Competent as in they can use and apply the acquired knowledge in every atmosphere, in every environment where they are subjected to. So evolution is a part of human civilization, and that, in the words of Darwin, is called the survival of the fittest. So the competition keeps on increasing, and with limited resources at hand, the level of competition has increased tremendously. So now the school, in this case, has the dual responsibility of honing the acumen of children to face the competition that the society beholds, and at the same time ensuring that the critical periods of child development are not very stressful. So Not only do we have to mold the children at such a sensitive period of time, but we also have to mold them in the manner that is suitable to the needs of the society. School in itself is called a miniature society because the child is exposed to a multitude, a plethora of opportunities. Therefore, the school now has to strike this balance that has been shown in the time of curriculum transaction method improvements and the mode of assessments. We have to switch from mere memorizing formulas and theoretical facts to 21st century skills such as effective communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, collaboration, civic responsibility, self-direction, global awareness, innovation, information, digital literacy, etc. In conclusion, I would like to say that the basic need to modify the existing education system and to make it more flexible shoots from the ultimate motive of education, that is to make the children adept at community adjustment so that he or she can contribute to the development of the nation. Instead of scoring high marks by rote memorization, the trend of education in school now has to focus on inculcating values, skills, and development of children so that they're prepared for the race of life. Further, we have to emphasize on competency over qualification, and the switch to a holistic mode of education would now enforce the ideology that education is not just limited to the syllabus. Rather, it incorporates every aspect of the child. It would allow the children to construct knowledge while engaging in activities such as working in groups, playing with peers, etc. All these modes of assessment, directly or indirectly, will prepare the child for community adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diksha. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite our last but not the least presenter of this technical session one, Ms. Vaishnavi Tripathi from Navyug Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Uttar Pradesh. Ms. Vaishnavi? Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all of you. The topic of my paper is the role of parental involvement in the holistic development of children, a review. Holistic development is a thorough pathway to learning intended to help development all the sides of the human brain. Conventional learning and education systems aim to develop intellectual capabilities, but holistic growth aims to develop physical, intellectual, cognitive, emotional, and social abilities. It aims to ensure the development of the right and left side traits of a child's brain. Holistic development strives to improve language, speech, social, emotional, physical, cognitive, and psychological development. Holistic development is a comprehensive approach in learning which aims to develop multiple facets or abilities of a human brain. With the ways technology is advancing and education methods are changing, the parents are now interested in making their children more engaged and involved in almost all facets of learning. Parents are the pillars who nurture and support children in order to foster confidence in them as well as pave way for their physical, emotional, and intellectual growth during various developmental stages of life. There are a lot of evidence suggesting how the involvement of parents influences the academic, social, and psychological development of the child. Parental involvement refers to the amount of participation a parent has when it comes to the schooling of his or her children. According to Center for Child Wellbeing 2010, parental involvement in their children's learning not only improves a child's morale, attitude, and academic achievement across all subject areas, but it also promotes better behavior and social adjustment. Conway 2008 revealed that parental effort is consistently associated with higher levels of achievement, and the magnitude of the effect of parental effort is substantial. Olson in 2010 proved that there exists a positive effect of parental involvement on children. Study conducted by Taylor 2002 shows that parental involvement in teaching children about reading and writing words was related to the development of early literacy skills. The literature on parental involvement in children and adolescent education conveys the clear assumption that parents' involvement benefits children's learning. For example, it has been shown in the studies of Shokin 1993, Herald 1993, Epstein in 1989 and 1994, Hobbs et al. 1984, and Hess in 1984. However, child-parent relationship, parental behaviors, and personality traits critically influence the child's academic achievements, cognitive development, self-esteem, talents, motivation, and social behavior. Since parents are the most vital part of a child's life, they can affect the children both positively and negatively. The parents' way of rewarding, retribution for undesired actions, and sharing of knowledge do have a cumulative effect on children. Encouraging or showing interest in the child's activities can be correlated with their levels of responsibility as an adult. Thus, the way in which parents get involved in their child's development has a major role impacting their social behaviors, academic performance, and psychological stability. Parental involvement lays the foundation for the success of children in school and in the later years of their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnav. Thank you very much, ma'am. Now the house is open for the discussion. Please, you can write the queries into the chat box. Yes, participants, you can write the queries into the chat box.
Yes, Shikha ma'am. Then we should
Yes, ma'am.
proceed for next.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, as you say, ma'am. Okay, fine, ma'am. So, we will proceed for the next technical session. Before the next technical session, I would like to just invite our honorable guest for the technical session two, that is Dr. Yukti Sharma. Dr. Yukti Sharma is professor at the Department of Education and academic secretary at the Institute of Lifelong Learning, University of Delhi. She has done MSc Botany and MD, which she was gold medalist from University of Delhi. She is involved in teaching and guiding research in the area of inclusive education, science education, environmental education, giftedness, and creativity at the department. She has conducted several research projects that have been awarded by NCRT New Delhi and has presented papers in national and international conferences. She has to her credit several publications in acclaimed international journals. She has authored textbooks, edited books, contributed chapters on education and science education for renowned publishers such as Macmillan, Pearson, and Sage. She has also contributed towards MOOCs and OERs and in the review committee of several organizations such as NCTE, NIOS, IGNOU, NCRT, and CBSE. She has also been invited to give lectures in faculty development programs, seminars, webinars, in service programs for teachers from various universities and organizations across the country, such as Tata Institute of Social Sciences, University of Calcutta, MDU Rohtak, Assam University Silchar, to name a few. So, with these words, I would like to invite Professor Yukti Sharma ma'am to say a few words with us. Hello, ma'am. Please welcome.
Very good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
First of all, I would like to good afternoon. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Sonia Jindal, the principal of Gitarattan.Institute, Dr. Shikha Jain, who is the organizer of this particular program event, and all the other members of the organizing team for organizing this kind of a webinar. And as Dr. Bhatia has already set the tone for the event and also raised very insightful questions related to holistic learning. I would like to say that holistic learning as a theme is a very important idea that we need to revisit. So therefore, once again, a big congratulations to the team for organizing this program. Also, a very good afternoon to Dr. Bhatia to my co-speaker for the day and a good friend, Dr. Anjali, and all the other participants, presenters also, who have presented very interesting presentations in the technical session 1. I think let me adjust my camera. There's some problem with my camera. The focus is not straight. Give me a second. I think this is better now. So, as I begin the formal session on holistic learning, Dr. Bhatia has raised some very pertinent questions, and holistic learning is not new to us. And that is why when Dr. Bhatia was saying that, I am from the previous generation, he's a very senior faculty member of our department. I belong to Department of Education, Delhi University, CIE. So kind of we used to look, when I was doing my B.Ed. M.Ed, we used to look upon teachers like Bhatia sir. So they are, from that level, you can understand. So when Bhatia sir was saying that I'm from the yester generation, then also the idea of holistic education existed. But still we are struggling with the idea of holistic learning, holistic education, and yet not achieved and translated into our systems of education. So that is one point which sir has raised. Other than that, sir has talked about what holistic learning is. It's more than cognitive learning, it's more than academic learning. He's also talked about that. He's also talked about who are responsible for holistic learning. Is it the school only, or it's the family also, the community also, from where actually the primary socialization begins. Then he has also talked about the relationship between the affect and the cognitive development. So these are some of the very important questions that he has already raised and set the tone for the session. I'm not going to repeat them, but yes, I'm going to talk about some of them. Also, my co-speaker, Dr. Anjali, has at length talked about NEP and connected, established linkages with the National Education Policy 2020, which has very strongly and very explicitly brought the idea of holistic learning. We had many policies before, and the previous policy which came 34 years back, which was the National Education Policy 1986, that policy also talked about many of the issues, but the way the National Education Policy 2020 has talked about holistic learning and holistic education, with the thrust it has talked about. So I'm going to talk to you about that how it is different. I'm not going to quote the policy because Dr. Anjali has already given a very detailed analysis of the policy. And I was hearing to that. It's a very rich analysis that she has presented. So the repetition is not required, but I'll go into the rationale of it. Why it is required, why it is not new, why our policy should have done this before also. But anyhow, now we have got a policy which is focusing on that. That is also not less. So I'll talk about the rationale, some of the philosophical ideas maybe. Dr. Anjali has already referred to Gandhiji's ideas. She has already referred to Swami Vivekananda, some of the Indian philosophers whom we need to refer again and again, even in the contemporary times, how relevant they are in the contemporary times, So I may refer to that also. So that's how I would like to begin. And taking some of the questions that Dr. Bhatia has raised. The first, what is holistic learning? It's a very valid question, and I totally agree with Dr. Bhatia that holistic learning is not simply about curriculum. It is not simply about cognitive engagement of the child. It's not simply about academics. It's going beyond that. It's relating the learning to day-to-day life. Now, all of you are well-learned people from education, so you would say that ये तो हम करते ही हैं teacher education programs में day and night students को बोलते हैं learning को relate करो, learning को अपनी life से relate करो. It's this. The very big answer that NEP 2020 has given to it is that if you read NEP, you will see NEP talks about the learner. All chapters of NEP, Dr. Anjali has talked about the fundamental principles which are given on page 6. If you start from there, policy has given some fundamental principles on which the entire policy should be based and the entire curricular frameworks which are going to come. They have to be based. In that page also and in all the chapters, the policy is talking about the learner. How? The policy is talking about the learner's ability. The policy is talking about the learner's background. The policy is talking about which community the learner belongs to. The policy is talking about what does that learner need? What are the needs of the learner? What are the haves and the have-nots? What does the learner have and what does the learner is not having? The policy is holistically thinking about the learner. If we cannot think holistically about the learner, we cannot think holistically about the learning. That's the prime idea that the policy brings in. So this is what policy is offering us. Now, the next question is, how is the policy doing this? If again you read the policy, NEP 2020, you will see the policy is focusing on the abilities of the learners. The policy is talking about creative abilities, critical thinking. Now, critical thinking was before also. Critical thinking is an idea which comes from Western philosophy. The Western psychologist and the Western sociologist have brought it into the Western culture. That's how we are borrowing it from. But as Dr. Anjali has also referred to Swami Vivekananda, Gandhi, and there are many more philosophers, whether we talk of Aurobindo or Krishnamurti, critical thinking was not new to the Indian philosophers. They already had that in their discourses. So when we borrowed it from the Western culture, the way Western context looks at them, we actually applied that in the same way in our previous policies. But this policy is not referring to the Western philosophers. It's referring to the Indian philosophers. That's how when it talks about critical learning, critical thinking, critical research, it is not referring in the context of Western philosophers. It is referring in the context of Indian philosophers. Similarly, when it talks about creativity, if you see the previous policy, 1986 policy, or even if you see the NCF 2005, you will see creativity is not talked about at all. Do Indian children don't have creativity? Are Indian children not gifted? Don't they have any creative abilities? Why didn't we talk about in the previous policies about creativity or creative thinking? Why didn't we think about? If you see NCF and you analyze NCF, simply if you do this mesh that you take the PDF of NCF 2005 and put the word creativity and search for it, you will not find that word. If you put creative thinking, you'll still find it. So it comes only in terms of creative thinking, not only in terms of creative abilities. There is a big difference. This policy specifically talks, and in the fundamental principle gives that our children are very, very talented. Indian children have lots of abilities, and creative ability is one such ability. We need to develop that. Our curricular framework needs to be such that our children are not studying the conventional stuff, but they are able to think on their own. They are able to go beyond the conventional knowledge systems, the conventional textbooks. That is what is something which NEP 2020 has brought with a thrust. And that is why the struggle that Bhatia sir has talked about holistic learning, which is not new to the Indian culture. You know how Indian culture Indian education system got colonized. The colonial legacy of Indian education system. तो आज तक हम उसमें बंधे हुए हैं. अगर हम उसके पीछे जाके देखें तो वो जो गुरु शिष्य की जो एक प्रथा चली आई है, जो एक डायलॉगिकल डिस्कोर्स हमें वेदास में मिलता है, उपनिषद्स में मिलता है, वो तो कितना पुराना है इंडिया में. That is holistic learning. Those dialogical discourses never provide answers which are ready-made, never provide answers which are pre-decided, pre-assumed. They give answers. They give answers in the form of questions, so that those questions trigger the thinking of the learner, of the listener. And in the process of finding answers, that is, the disciples used to learn. And they never required to relate it to their day-to-day life, because learning was happening in the real life context. Learning was happening in their life only. It was so much related to their life. They were totally in the Guru's ashramas, doing everything that they were supposed to do as the daily chores. And within those daily chores, they were learning. That was automatically holistic learning. We didn't have to deliberately think about it. But what happened to India's education system after freedom? We know that how it got a colonial legacy with it. And we are trying to, since the last so many years, now we can say Amrit ka Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav हम मना रहे हैं, तो 75 years से हम उस colonial legacy से शायद निकलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, या कहीं पर हमारी कुछ policies तो उसको रीस्थापित करने की भी कोशिश कर रही थी, रीस्टैब्लिश करने की भी कोशिश कर रही थी. ये कुछ सवाल हैं जो हमारे मन में आने चाहिए. तो वो जो लर्निंग थी वो तो लुप्त हो गई, होलिस्टिक लर्निंग. जो अब हम होलिस्टिक लर्निंग के बारे में सोचते हैं तो हमें डेलिबरेटली सोचना पड़ता है कि भाई लर्निंग को तो हमने अलग अलग पार्टों में, अलग अलग पार्ट्स में बांट दिया है. We have just disintegrated the whole learning into parts, and now we are trying to reassemble those parts, and that too within a Western ideology, within a Western culture. Now, another important rationale which I would like to point out here is that why we need to separate ourselves from the Western culture. Obviously, our context is different. We all understand. I don't want to go into the details of that. But if you see the Western culture, the other reason why we need to separate from them is because they are different. Their way of thinking is different. Their culture is different. And the difference that their culture has, that has major implications for the way they look at learning. If you see the way they look at learning from a very reductionist approach. तो पहले पर्सनालिटी का ही अगर उदाहरण ले हम, तो पर्सनालिटी को अलग अलग भागों में बांट देते हैं. भाई ये आपका कॉग्निटिव हिस्सा है, ये आपका इफेक्टिव हिस्सा है, ये आपका साइकोमोटर हिस्सा है. थ्योरी आ गई, ब्लूम्स टेक्सोनॉमी सबने पढ़ी है. अब कॉग्निटिव के लिए काम करिए, अब इफेक्टिव के लिए काम करते हैं, अब साइकोमोटर के लिए काम करते हैं. असेसमेंट करनी है तो कुछ क्वेश्चन बनाइए जो कॉग्निटिव को टेस्ट करें, कुछ क्वेश्चन बनाइए जो इफेक्टिव को टेस्ट करें, और कुछ ऐसे भी बनाइए एक्टिविटीज जो साइकोमोटर को असेस करें. So they have disintegrated the whole idea of learning. They see it in compartments. That's called reductionist approach. Now, it might be suiting their culture. We can question it from outside. We can also understand that why they look at education in that way. That's a different thing. But it does not get aligned to our culture. Our Indian philosophers, they have never thought like this. They never separated the learner from the context. They said the learner has to live in the context itself. और उसमें रहकर ही पढ़ना है. और कहीं पर लर्नर की कॉग्निटिव या इफेक्टिव डोमेन को अलग करके नहीं देखा. इसीलिए जब आप इंडियन फिलोसफर्स को पढ़ें, जैसे स्वामी विवेकानंद को पढ़ें, तो स्वामी विवेकानंद जो मेटाफर देते हैं एजुकेशन का, वो सिंपली ये देते हैं कि भाई एक पौधा लगा दो, उसका ध्यान रखना, उसको पानी देना. स्वामी विवेकानंद बुक ऑन एजुकेशन सेज दिस. पानी दे, बीज दे. मतलब अगर आप एक पौधा लगाते हैं, उसको सब कुछ प्रोवाइड कर, उसकी जगह ग्रो ना करने लगे. हम ये कर रहे हैं. हम इंडियन फिलोसफी से हट के जब वेस्टर्न फिलोसफर्स की तरफ जा रहे हैं, तो हम उनको अपॉर्चुनिटीज, एक्सपीरियंसेस प्रोवाइड करने की जगह खुद ही वो एक्सपीरियंस बन जाते हैं. We have to create experiences for them. not become an experience for them. There is a difference. आप एक्सपीरियंस क्रिएट करिए, आप अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट करिए, लर्नर अपने आप ग्रो करेगा. ग्रो तो उसको खुद करना है, हम थोड़ी उसकी जगह ग्रो कर सकते हैं. पर हम क्या करते हैं, हम क्वेश्चंस, कॉन्सेप्ट्स उनको खुद पहले तो समझते हैं और फिर अपने शब्दों में लर्नर को कहते हैं देखो जी ये है कॉन्सेप्ट, आपको डिस्कवर करने की जरूरत नहीं है, यू नीड नॉट डिस्कवर इट, आई हैव डिस्कवर्ड फॉर यू. सो how is it holistic learning? In this process, we are not using the mental faculties, the abilities which are vested in the learner. And then when we come back to the objective of education, we say the objective of education is an overall development of the learner. What do you mean by overall? It's such a cliche now. ओवरऑल हम बोलते हैं तो हमें लगता है कि हमने तो अपनी बात कह दी पूरी तरह से, पर हमने कभी उसके बारे में चिंतन किया है? Have you ever thought about it? What does overall mean? We are only addressing the memory, the faculties related to memory of a child when we are giving the child and expecting the child to be well versed with what we have given to you. Don't think on your own. I'm giving to you. Think about that. So these are some of the issues, which are taking us away from the holistic learning. So when we look at Indian philosophers, we will see a very holistic approach to education, जिसको हम कहते हैं evolutionary approach. जो Indian philosophers हैं वो ये कहते हैं कि अगर आप, if you give all experiences and opportunities to a learner, the learner will grow itself. And that growth is self-evolutionary. The learner should experience a kind of evolution in itself. अपनी thinking में वो एक evolution, एक transformation experience करे. And that has to come from inside. What we are taking from outside gets processed inside. And that has to actually make the learner's thinking grow and all the faculties of learning or abilities or personality of the learner grow. So what we had said, what our Indian philosophers had said many years before, that now the Western psychologists are bringing in. तो जब वो constructivism कहते हैं, when they say constructivism, this is what we meant many years back. We said provide experience and the learner will itself, in that dialogical conversation, would discover the truth of life, will discover the various realities of life, which is knowledge. तो वो तो हम कई साल पहले बोल चुके हैं हम, and now they are coming. Similarly, when the humanist psychology of, again from the Western world, चाहे हम यूंग की बात करें, हमने पढ़े हुए हैं कई इस तरह के human psychologists, I don't need to name them. बट अगर हम इन साइकोलॉजिस्ट की बात करें तो वो जब कोर एनर्जी की बात करते हैं, जो हमारे इंडियन फिलोसोफर्स उसको आत्मा बोलते हैं, they say that energy is vested within us. We have to look inside. We have to discover our own abilities, self-knowledge, self-actualization. We have to actualize what we have, what are our abilities. So are we helping the learners to actualize their abilities? This is what was said by the Indian philosophers already, which is said in many of our Indian discourses. And now the Western philosophers and psychologists are also realizing it. When they talk of phenomenology, when they talk of humanistic psychology, they mean the same. That every learner has a phenomenological world around it. We need to know that. But आपने learner को phenomenological world से अलग ही क्यों किया पहले? So first they separated the learner. Now they are taking the learner back into its own world. So these are some of the limitations of the Western world, which we can see because our roots are in Indian philosophy and psychology. And when we look from those lenses, we understand how the approaches in Western psychology were reductionist. So this was the rationale that I wanted to give. Another 2 minutes I'll take, not much longer. And that is what now NEP offers specifically. Now, when NEP says about holistic learning, NEP says that we need to look at holistically. जो डॉक्टर भाटिया ने भी शुरू में बोला कि सिर्फ करिकुलम में बदलाव लाने से नहीं होगा, The curriculum load, of course, has to be reduced. So there has to be a change in the curriculum. But other than that, we also need to look at the pedagogical experiences. Pedagogical experiences, what approaches are we going to follow? Like, for example, experiential learning is one of the very important approaches that brings the learner into the real life context, connects it to its outside world. Then NEP also talks about cross-curricular pedagogical approaches. So compartments हमने disciplinary form में भी बनाए हैं. So science, arts, languages, mathematics, and then there are sports, music, which are less important. And we have made a hierarchy within them also. So NEP says we need to dissolve these hierarchies and we have to actually think of cross-curricular pedagogical approaches, where a maths teacher brings art to its class, where a maths teacher brings sports to its class, how we can bring in what we used to call as co-curricular activities, or what we used to call as extracurricular activities. They all are part of curriculum now. They all are curricular experiences. So approaches, our pedagogical approaches should go beyond the boundaries of the disciplines, which is very important. And the last important thing which I've taken from the policy in this regard is the policy also talks of assessment, that we need to have a transforming assessment. As I said in the beginning, कि questions भी बनाते समय हम ये सोचते हैं कि कैसे cognitive वाले aspect को test करें, how should we test the psychomotor abilities, or how should we test the affective abilities. So when we think about all that, again we are compartmentalizing the thinking. So the policy says that we need to even change the frameworks of assessment, and we need to involve all this within the purview of assessment, so that we are not assessing the cognitive abilities only, or even if we are assessing all the abilities, our focus should not only be on cognitive assessment, because we are not assessing cognition or affective or psychomotor abilities. We are actually assessing the learner. We are actually assessing the changes that are taking place in the learner. We are actually trying to assess the developments that are taking place in the learner. So the learner again has to be in the focus when we are talking about all these. And when I talk about experiential learning, I think we all are teacher educators coming from diverse educational institutions. Today, I could see in the program that Dr. Shikha had sent, they have actually brought in teacher educators and scholars from a diverse group of teacher education institutions. So I don't need to talk about experiential learning much. All of them have that experience of educating their student teachers about how to relate education to real life context, how to make learning more experiential. But this is the broad idea that I wanted to discuss with you, that what is holistic learning, how it has come, how old it is as an idea, and why it didn't get translated for the last so many years, 75 years at least in our country, and how we can look forward to move towards holistic learning if we are able to translate the policy, the NEP 2020, in the right perspective. So definitely the policy has a lot of potential. Now we have to see how we can together realize that potential, specifically in the context of holistic learning. So this is what I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you very much once again for giving me this platform. Thank you to Dr. Bhatia, because he initiated this whole idea. Thank you to Dr. Sonia and Dr. Shikha once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Yukti Sharma ma'am, for developing a new perspective about holistic learning and sharing your valuable thoughts on the topic. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, should I call the paper presenters for the presentation, ma'am?
Yes, Shalu, you can. We can start with the paper presentations. Yes, please call.
Okay, sure, ma'am. So to begin with the technical session 2, Now, I would like to request Professor Tanya Gupta, Director of KR Mangalam University, Gurgaon, and Miss Deepa Khatri, Scholar of KR Mangalam University, Gurgaon. So I request both of you to please proceed with the paper presentation.
Thank you very much, ma'am. A very good afternoon to the esteemed chairperson, all the participants, and I'm Deepa Khatri, a research scholar at SOED, KR Mangalam University, and I, with my guide, Dr. Tanya Gupta, Dean SOED, KR Mangalam, would like to present a paper. I would like to share a PPT for the same, just would take a minute for that. So basically, today I intend to present my paper on the topic prudent parenting, a way to nurture holistic learning in a child. And this particular topic is under the theme creating a holistic learning culture for students. And the sub theme is parental role in child holistic learning. Parents are the first teachers of a child, and this is one such statement that has been accepted worldwide. However, are they the best teachers? Find approach and parental towards holistic learning that should accumulate into holistic learning in each child. So as we are also considering NEP in this context, we need to first of all understand that we are preparing students for 21st century education. And according to UNESCO, there are 4 pillars of education for this century, which are learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, and learning to be. And to deliver these learning arrangements, we need to strengthen these pillars as well. And that could be done if parents do create such environment, such ecosystem which promotes inquisitiveness, that addresses learning to know, and empirical approach is incorporated in them, which addresses learning to do, and survival skills, which earlier Dr. Bhatia also stated, which are not as they in the previous century and are usually now called as critical skills, synthesis of information, collaboration and communication skills, and also learning to be can be incorporated in students if we provide them a sense of dignity, self-esteem. So these are the 4 education development, which entails holistic learning in it. So UNESCO has also stated, which already has been mentioned in the previous discussions. So according to UNESCO, holistic learning is a learning approach that activates the learner's intellect, emotions, imagination, and body for more effective and comprehensive learning. So comprehensive learning will come into action if we are working on cognitive development, which had been the center of our education till today. They come into existence. So let's have a little understanding on these aspects, and then we can figure out how and what could be the right approach to ensure holistic learning amongst children. First of all, talking about parenting styles, there have been many theories on parenting styles, but Diana Baumrink's theory, which states 4 parenting style, is very popular, and we can clearly see that authoritative and authoritarian parenting style is though demanding but also responsive in nature. So that is something very popular. However, when we say verbally also permissive and uninvolved parenting styles should not be accepted. But how do parents reach and what are the outcomes of these parenting styles is again another thing to be considered. Now, when we talk about parenting styles and their outcomes, we have already condemned uninvolved and permissive styles of parenting because of their outcomes. When we say authoritative style, that is brings high self-esteem and assertiveness, trust, feeling of regulation and self-control, socially responsible behavior, peer pressure is less, and children who are raised in such a parenting style are empathetic and have better higher achievement. So this is one such parenting style which is quite common and very popular, and then there are rest of them which have different outcomes but not to compete with authoritative parenting. So these are the parenting styles. However, when we decide upon our parenting style, which is usually not well aware decision, it is just intuitive. We always forget to take into consideration learning style of the child. Because of many reasons, children pick up a specific style of learning, and we all know that the walk model is the most popular one to help teachers and parents understand the learning style, which talks about 4 different ways in which children learn better. If a child is a visual learner, he or she may be much intrigued by pictures, diagrams, and illustrations. On the other hand, the student who has inclination toward reading and writing would learn better with material and written summarizations. There are many who would like to learn with experiences and experimentation, and then still there are some who are good listeners and would learn just by listening. So these are different ways which also should come into existence when we as a parent would like to pick our parenting style, because eventually it will accumulate into holistic learning. So this is one such parameter which has to be considered when we talk about parental role, because if parental role we pick upon a specific style of parenting, just not considering learning style of the child we are treating to, then the results will not be as expected. Another very important thing to keep in mind when we talk about holistic learning amongst children is what stage of development the child is, right? So in this context, when we talk about a newborn child, an infant, and also when we talk about adolescent aged child, needs will be different. So we'll have to alter the parenting style to address varying needs. As they grow, their needs change. They are not physical needs become less in comparison to more is to be done in terms of psychological needs. So when we talk about holistic learning amongst children, parents, while providing any kind of ecosystem for learning, they need to take care that what stage of physical development the child is. And when we talk about physical development, we also have to understand as children grow, their psychological development also is something very crucial to be taken into consideration. So then again, cognitive development is also a very important feature. So let's talk about cognitive development here. So when the child is at the age of 2, up till age of 2, then their needs are different in terms of providing environment for holistic learning, which is again a part of holistic development. And as they grow further, their needs and requirements change, and so thus we need to change the parenting style to ensure holistic learning. And same is with psychological development, as Erickson has stated in the theory that as we grow older, not only learning doesn't cease at the age of 18 or maybe 25, it goes throughout the life. But eventually when we talk about holistic learning amongst children, then it is something we are more bothered about till the time they reach maturity. So with each stage they pass through, they have to be treated in a different manner to address their psychological needs. And that is again where parental role is very important, because when they are treating their children, their parenting style should also cater to the psychological needs of the child. Moving further, what are the factors that help parents shape their parenting style? So we all understand that individual differences are there, and to address those individual differences, parents have to alter their parenting styles. Still, there are many external factors which influence parenting style of an individual. So wherein, first of all, what are parental experiences themselves? So as a child, what kind of upbringing they had, what is their age, gender, their mental health, what kind of relationship do they share as a partner, as both parents, and what are their religious beliefs, what geographical place they come from. All are the very important factors that influence parenting style. Same, another very crucial factor is child's characteristics. Though we have already discussed their different stages, but again, within a family, a parent may have 2 or more children, but each child would require different kind of attention from the parent, and because of their learning styles, their psychological, physical and cognitive developmental stages, there is another shift from one style of parenting to another. And then social setup is again a very important thing, because a child cannot learn in isolation. There is a lot of influence of social network, school again, which is formal setup of learning for child, and also peer group, they all influence child. So when we as a parent, specifically in informal setup, are thinking of providing holistic learning, then when we pick up a parenting style, we need to take all these things into consideration. So when we talk about parental role and child's holistic learning, we cannot just accept, because we have to juggle as a parent. An individual would have to juggle from one thing to another to ensure the child gets best. So we cannot have mind full of things for the betterment of child. We have to have mindful parenting. So what this mindful parenting means to us is to practice prudence, because we have to ensure whatever decision is taken for the betterment of child, for holistic learning of the child, is a wise decision. But at the same time, parenting should also feature flexibility. It means that there cannot be a ready-made style of parenting. If the child's needs are different from the other one, then flexibility is important, keeping in mind many other factors which we already have discussed. And then at the same time, we cannot only be rigid about things, we have to be intuitive. So incorporating intuitiveness in our parenting style is again a very, very important parameter. And whatever we do as a parent, though it may be intuitive, it may demand flexibility and wise decisions, but we need to corroborate consciousness in our parenting, so that whatever we take, it is just not done in the moment of heat or with emotional aspect keeping in mind. It should always lead towards holistic learning. So if we are aware of the needs of child, we understand their stages of development, we would surely be able to create ourselves as such a ecosystem for our children, wherein they can be able to achieve holistic learning in life. So in conclusion, I would be presenting that as we observe the complexity involved in parenting, we support the idea of adopting flexibility when parenting being practically implemented. And this would be in support with mindful parenting, which is a combination of intuitiveness and consciousness, along with pliability, and which is imperative to provide a child learning environment which is holistic in nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Deepa Khatri ma'am, for a detailed presentation. Thank you so much.
I feel when where obviously online has put all of us on a platform where we feel more digitally empowered, or where we can explore the different computer skills as teachers, which otherwise I probably wouldn't have earlier. I wouldn't had earlier explored so many apps or the softwares that are available, and I wouldn't have used so much of assessment. We definitely are into making our Google assessments through Google Forms or Kahoot or whatever apps we are using, or the softwares we are making use of. So probably wouldn't have a part of it would have been left out if this transition wouldn't have happened. So definitely it has empowered us with the latest technology. It has made us at par with the rest of the world, and digitally we are connected to a lot many information givers and information seekers. So I feel whenever we are talking about online teaching, and as a teacher, and as we always believe that जब भी हम online की बात करते हैं, online is a very convenient mode, I would say, for a teacher to schedule the classes as per their convenience, and the timings can be made flexible, and the teachers are they as per their convenience, and as per their flexibility. They can keep their classes, and even the evaluation work has become simpler. And so it has definitely empowered them somewhere, and they can explore the various resources, and they're easily accessed also. So I would say, for a teacher, these are the positives of an online education. Now, coming to the as the coin, there are two sides of the same coin. So that the con part, or the negative aspect that I feel, and my paper talks about, is how what are the challenges a teacher might face while taking an online class. I feel there's a, the lack of the teacher student interaction definitely is a miss. There's a difficulty to engage the learners. How to engage the learners? यहाँ पर हम experiential learning and everything requires certain hands-on, requires certain collaboration, requires certain cooperative setup. But these things are a miss whenever we talk about an online education scenario. So yes, definitely. I might, as a teacher, lack the computer skills, to deal to handle the computers, or to use a platform, or probably how to assess my learners. I might not have the requisite skills. Also, there can be a lack of, satisfaction as far as my work is concerned. There can be a lack of motivation. I might not feel motivated enough to be on an online platform. And then obviously, there's a difficulty, which as teacher I feel it is difficult to control the group of students. It is difficult to monitor them individually, or to give them the individualized attention, or to address their queries, which is otherwise very much there in an open, or an you can say the face-to-face interactive classrooms. And even on the students part, I would say the students might not take the classes seriously. They're just there online. It is just showing that the button that yes, the child is present, but mentally he's definitely not there in your class. He's just there to give the attendance or whatsoever. So these can be the few, you can say, the gaps or the disadvantages from the teacher's perception. This is definitely my perception. These are my views. uh, how I view the online education system to be. But what lies next? Definitely, to conclude, I would say that this online mode of education is still in its early stage of development in India, and therefore having clarity about the problems experienced and the expectations of the students and the teachers will help to plan out an effective and a structured strategies for taking the online classes. So it is very important to therefore to have certain researches, or you can say proper surveys, or proper, you can say, in service probably might be certain trainings or workshops which can minimize these gaps which we as teachers have identified, and which we might be facing. And to bridge to bring the online to the mainstream, to make it the mainstream, because as it is the new normal, or as this is the future of education, and the whole world has shifted or transitioned to this online mode. So it definitely requires certain skills and competencies to be instilled or imbibed by us. We are definitely the stakeholders. We are going to guide the future generations. So it needs to be bridged to make it more effective mode of teaching learning. So this was, I think, my paper on that, which dealt on the reflection of how, as a teacher, I view the online concept of education. So that is all. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iram Aziz ma'am, for sharing your thoughts with all of us. Now moving ahead towards the last presentation of the technical session 2, I would like to invite Ms. Neha Madan, Assistant Professor, and Dr. Aarti Bhattagar, Assistant Professor from Guru Ramdas College of Education, Delhi. Please proceed your paper presentation.
Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Neha Madan, Assistant Professor from Guru Ramdas College of Education, and my colleague, Dr. Aarti Bhattinagar from the same college, are here to represent our thoughts and reflect upon holistic development, a pathway for the holistic development of the child. Just give 1 minute. I would like to just share my screen.
Thank you so very much, all the presenters, for
Yes.
sharing you.
I
Yes,
hope,
yeah,
sorry.
ma'am.
I hope the screen, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, just a
Yeah,
minute.
yes, ma'am.
I hope the
Complete it.
screen is visible.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, just a minute. Before
If
moving
you are
ahead, I
continuing,
will
ma'am.
like, yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Before moving ahead, I would like to draw everyone's attention towards a beautiful line expressed regarding the crux of a holistic education, which plays an important role in the life of the child. The line says that you have the right to be respected like an adult. You have the right to be like you are. You do not have to disguise yourself and be like adult you want to be. You have the right of the present day. Each day of your life belongs to you, to nobody else. You, child, are not in the process to become a human being. You are a human being. If we deeply interpret and analyze on the lines which have been expressed by this expert, we definitely and think upon a moment these lines are being emphasizing on the uniqueness, on the individuality, and the potential that each child withholds within itself. But if we look upon the present system of the education, the way the curriculum is being transacted, the way the school is welcoming the child, and we as a teacher educator in the path of developing the teachers are truly fulfilling the needs of the child. To many of us, maybe the answer will be yes or no. But yes, there is a need for the implementation, I will say, of the holistic education curriculum. As we are listening from the morning, our experts have explained us and they have highlighted that there is nothing new which has been emphasized in NEP 2020. The things are same in India, and there is nothing new, only the new terms have been given. The holistic education, as it is comprehensive approach, which withholds the potential for overall developing of the learner. It has a certain characteristic features included in itself, which will ultimately lead to the holistic development of the learner, and which is the ultimate requirement of the 21st century. As the holistic development, it covers not only academic intelligence, it is focusing on emotional, spiritual, and social intelligences. But the need only is to make ensure that in the present education system and in the process of the teacher development programs, these needs are being highlighted. If we reflect upon many of the things have been put into the action. If we reflect upon the present system of education, few policies like the happiness curriculum, subjects which have been introduced now into the school education system, and little freedom which we are giving to the learner, where he can choose a subject according to his own interest, are making things baking the dreams to come into reality. As a holistic development, it demands the learner to be developed into all aspects of its life. It is focusing on providing the experiential learning experiences to a learner. It wants the learner to be connected to the community, to be get connected to the ground level realities. And for this, I would like to highlight that there is a need for certain ways of modifying our strategy of transacting the curriculum to the learner. As ultimately, it is all the things will ultimately lie on the professionals like us who are into the field of the education system. That yes, after the parents, the very next person on which the whole responsibility of entire development of the learner lies is the teachers. So as a teachers, we have to make ensure that we provide the safe, productive environment to our learner who is coming up into the schools. If the environment will be positive, if the environment will be welcoming to the child, naturally he will be able to develop into all the aspects where the holistic development will be focusing on, where we will be providing the learning environment which will ensure that the natural curiosity, excitement level of the child, the creativity of the child is being given the opportunities where we can provide the grounds on which the child can build a strong foundation for the holistic development. And many changes have been done in this process. Like if we look upon the board system, now the board paper itself is being divided into the objective papers and the subjective papers also. And if we look into the curriculum, many of the changes have been done. Right now, there have been the introduction of the subjects like vocational education, life skills education, value education, entrepreneurship programs are being running. If we continue to implement like this changes into the curriculum and make our classroom sessions more interactive based on the discussions where the learners are provided the opportunities to have hands-on experiences, then definitely we can ensure that holistic education will provide a pathway to the holistic development of the learner. And it is according to my own experiences of the classes which I take, it is true into the reality if we provide these kinds of the activity sessions to the students where they can brainstorm, where they can create something their own, they themselves become linked to the classroom environment. And once the classroom environment become acceptive to these students, then definitely holistic development will take place. Thank you so much. With this, I end to my point. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so very much, all the presenters, for sharing your viewpoint regarding holistic learning very effectively. Now, I welcome our mentor, inspirational source, Honorable Principal, Professor Sonia Jindal, ma'am, for her valuable words. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shikha. At the very onset, first of all, I would like to say my sincere regards to Dr. Bhatia sir, Anjali Shaukin ma'am, and Yukti ma'am, all my dearest colleagues, faculty members from various colleges, and the student fraternity, those who have joined this national seminar. Thank you so much for joining us. Since morning, the session has been very resourceful, and we have discussed very innovative ideas, and lots of knowledge bank has been shared. When we are talking about, Dr. Bhatia sir has told about a lot about colonial education and what we need to change into the holistic learning culture. Anjali ma'am has highlighted lots about the changes into NEP policy, and Yukti ma'am has very efficiently described what we are lacking into our traditional system, into our Indian thinkers, and now we have shifted to Western thinkers. And many paper presenters have told different aspects about the parent role, about lots about holistic learning culture we have discussed today. After discussion, my main agenda just to say a few words, because we have been listening all these things since studying, listening, talking about it a lot on various platforms. Taking all this into consideration, we all are belong to teacher community. Either we all have been teachers, we are teachers, either we are catering to those we are giving training, we are becoming school teachers. Many of us are teaching the college students or higher education. So ultimately, the students, those who will be becoming something into the nation, they will catering to either the business needs or they are becoming anything, they have to go through one particular, not even one, lots of teacher into their life. So being we as the teachers and being we as the mentor for the students we are catering to, we have to imbibe in us and absorb in us lots of changes that is happening at a very rapid pace. It is changing on an everyday basis. Every minute everything is changing. In past 2 years of this COVID era, we have almost shifted to the online mode of teaching. All our seminars, all our conferences, everything is happening online. But as Madam Azim was there, and she has rightly reflected that online teaching has made lot of things convenient to us for the teachers. But as the coin has two sides, it has lots and lots of pitfalls as well. So keeping in view the today's scenarios, the blended mode of learning and hybrid mode of learning will might take the trend in the coming up eras. So we being as the teachers at the forefront workers, we can say, for the teaching learning process, a holistic word is not new basically. Holistic learning culture word is not new. Only thing is that we have to imbibe new techniques, new tools, and we have to make children learn those values and ethics that they can imbibe into themselves, not jumping from one class to another and one degree to another. So that gaining degree is important, and that is the literacy rate. We are getting literate about it. But being educated and uh, taking that values and ethics as a holistic word comes into you, and we frame that curriculum, framing that curriculum. Lots of bodies make that curriculum and reach to various schools, colleges, and other teachers to follow that curriculum. But we need to, as a teacher, we need to use lots of creativity, lots of knowledge, and lots of tools and techniques to imbibe that holistic culture into our brain, minds, and lots of brain teasing is required to teach our young children. Young children are very, very intelligent. They are far intelligent than previous era, previous decades students used to be or children used to be. They have lots of exposure. So like if we talk about online learning is happening, but it is very, 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 very much I'll say sedentary, and interaction is missing into that. If suppose I am speaking and many, I can see there are more than 80 participants here, many of us might are present with the name on the screen, but we are somewhere else, we are doing something else. That interaction, that eye contact, that body language, and when we see that group work, that teamwork, online is missing. Plus, when we talk about the studies into the school environment or in our B.Ed students as well, or our other student community, the sense of writing that is missing somewhere. That sense of total development, holistic development की जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, उस culture की बात कर रहे हैं, तो online भी हमें, अगर हमें ऐसे ही फिलहाल चलना है, hybrid mode में चलना है, so ये हमारी ड्यूटी बनती है कि हम ऑनलाइन जैसे हम ऑफलाइन टीचिंग में वेरियस टूल्स एंड टेक्निक्स यूज करते हैं, मेथोडोलॉजी यूज करते हैं, अप्रोचेस यूज करते हैं. In that particular manner, we have to formulate the methodology and approaches new, how to deal with the children or the higher classes students as well, that they are more and more involved, focused, and developed as a holistic learning culture. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all the efforts taken by the college fraternity to organize this seminar, and a heartfelt gratitude to Dr. S.K. Bhatia sir, and sincere thanks to Anjali ma'am and Yukti ma'am and other faculty members and students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your comprehensive and expressive knowledge that you reflected among us. Thank you so very much, ma'am. Now, I invite Professor Yukti, ma'am, to chair that session. And its a session is open for discussion. Anybody, please, want to ask any query related to any topic or related to any particulars, kindly write in the chat box, or you can address directly. Participants are requested to write their queries in the chat box. No queries? Concluding remark for this session. Welcome, ma'am.
It was a pleasure indeed to witness all the presentations since morning. And specifically in the technical session too, there were three presentations which were very diverse from each other, very different from each other, but yet aligned to the whole idea, the theme of holistic education. So if I talk about the first presentation by Ms. Deepa and Professor Tanya Gupta, it was the presentation was on holistic education, but at the same time, very important aspect. I'll not take much time because we have already heard the presentation. What I found significant in the presentation, I'm sharing that. So what very significant I found in their presentation was when they were talking about the parents' role. You know, in India, and specifically in the context of India, parents' role has always been neglected. It's always thought that education is the responsibility of the school, the institution, the teachers. But as Dr. Bharti this morning also referred to this question that is it only the school's responsibility? Because we know that primary socialization begins at home with the family and primarily with the parents. So parents' as we call it, is very, very important. And they have talked about parenting styles, parents' role, and that too from different dimensions that they have given that how there are certain dimensions to parenting style, and those dimensions have to be kept in mind when we are talking about the parents' role. So that was, I think, a very important aspect of holistic education that they have covered. Holistic education, when we envision, we have to see it as a teamwork where the school teachers, the school principals, the other members of the school, the parents, they all have to come together, you know, to plan the educational experiences of the learner. Only then it could be holistic learning. So I congratulate Ms. Deepa and Professor Tanya for a wonderful presentation. Similarly, the presentation by Evrim Aziz, that her presentation was a kind of eye-opener that in holistic education, you know, it would also keep evolving because the society is changing. So the society that we talked about in earlier discourses, Guru Shishya, that pratha that we talk about, today in the contemporary world, it's a very different idea altogether. The physical touch is missing what she talked about. And now we are in an online mode where the Guru and the Shishya can't come in physical contact with each other. They can't sit near to each other, but still learning is happening, still education is happening. So that adds to the idea that how the whole perspective of holistic education is also evolving with changing times in the contemporary world. And so how we need to prepare ourselves in that mode also. Also, holistic learning can only happen when we are able to make people learn and educate in every condition. So whether it's pandemic condition, Dr. Aarti, can I request you to mute yourself? So if we talk about holistic learning, the another important dimension is that we need to see that it's happening in every situation. Whether it's pandemic situation, we have shifted to the online mode. So again, it was a very interesting presentation because she has highlighted the gaps which are important for the online learning and for moving towards a blended mode of learning. Because emergencies, uh, unprecedented situations can arise anytime in any part of the world, and we have to be prepared for the blended mode. So once again, congratulations to Dr. Aram Aziz for a nice presentation. And the last presentation was by Neha Madan and Dr. Aarti Nagar. They have also talked about the fundamental ideas of holistic learning. So they have brought out very interestingly the various characteristics of holistic learning. I think since beginning we have been talking about, and therefore it was a very nice end, very relevant conclusion of the whole seminar, where we have ended with the characteristics of holistic learning that they have shared. So congratulations to Neha Madan and Dr. Aarti Nagar also. So with this, I think I would conclude that holistic learning is not simply about one or two aspects of education, but it involves all dimensions of education. Of course, the focal point is the learner, but the teachers,
the parents, the policies, the curricular frameworks, the textbooks, the curricular experiences, the peer group, how they contribute to this whole idea. That is what we need to empirically research upon also and theoretically reflect upon also. So this is for my side, and thank you once again. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yukti ma'am. You have covered all the point, cater all the if point if very, very effectively. And thank you so much for your precious time and valuable knowledge you shared with us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we are heading towards the end. So I'd like to invite Ms. Garima ma'am, Assistant Professor from Gitarattan.Institute of Advanced Studies and Training, proceed with formal vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shikharanjan, ma'am. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Garima, Assistant Professor, GIAST, on behalf of Gitarattan.Institute of Advanced Studies and Training, thanks all the dignitaries present here. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our resource persons, Dr. Anjali Shaukin ma'am, Assistant Professor, University School of Education, TGS-IPU, and Professor Yukti Sharma ma'am, CIE, University of Delhi, who despite of their busy schedule, graced this occasion and shared their valuable knowledge on the topic. I would like to extend my heartful thanks to Dr. S.K. Bhatia sir for his consistent guidance. I also wish to express my gratitude to our principal, Professor Sonia Jindal ma'am, for her encouragement and direction. I am grateful to all the faculty members, presenters, and participants for their support and coordination. Thank you everyone for making this webinar a great success. Thank you so much.